Welcome to another edition of the Don't Argue with one of the absolute gentlemen of the sport. And I'm speaking of Kirk Gidley, Newcastle Knights superstar. Gids, how are you, buddy?
Mate, I'm outstanding, mate. I've got the chamomile tea here ready to go. I've got the cherry ripe Easter egg, mate, just to crack after it. So,
Beautiful.
mate, just slipping into Easter mode and just into winter, mate. I've got the Ugg boots on, so feeling nice and cozy.
She's nice and cold up at Steel City, mate. Hey, listen, you be up and about, kids. Seriously, mate. The Newcastle Knights, they are absolutely flying. That was a big win against the Warriors on the weekend. I think we both tipped this last week as well, kids. But, mate, seriously, they're sitting in the top 8. This is enormous.
Yeah, mate. I mean, it's early days, matey. We know that around the 8 at this stage of the year. But, mate, a really positive win for the team, for the town, and to have such a great convincing win against the Warriors. Warriors have been travelling well. They only had one loss against the Roosters, I think it was. So, really good win for the club. Unfortunately, lost their captain, Jaden Brayley, to a season-ending injury, which is no good. But, mate, the game keeps tossing up some upsets every week too, Matty. And, the Dolphins bloody beating the Cowboys. Dolphins struggling. The Cowboys match struggling to start the year. But mate, I think, it's going to be an unpredictable year.
I watched a bit of that game, Gids, and the Dolphins they've got a real belief, haven't they? Like they're confident in their own ability. They've got really good kind of attacking wingers. They take the game on. It's pretty exciting, isn't it?
Mate, they're playing with some energy and enthusiasm, mate, and that's when you've got that and you've got it bottled up and you've got a real belief about your change room before you run out, it shows on the field. And probably the other game, the Raiders upsetting the Broncos, and that's probably something the Broncos had, speed and enthusiasm to start the year. But again, pretty major upset there. Big win by the Raiders, which they needed at that stage.
Now, Gids, I have to ask you, did you watch that game? Because I was the same. I watched this game over the weekend, and the last couple of minutes, the Bronx were kind of coming, and I don't know whether you're all over that decision, but I don't know the player's name that copped the head knock, and I must admit, I thought it was accidental. I think it's even been thrown out at the judiciary.
I think I seen the accidental need of the head. I think it was accidental, but. Yeah, mate, I didn't catch all the game. I've only seen the highlights of that one. I was tied up Sunday night.
Crucial time, and because the player was down for such a long period of time, then the bunker got involved and they upturned the decision, and it just was really it was a kind of a flip of the coin kind of decision at that time, which I reckon really changed. I'm not saying that the Broncos would have won, but they were certainly within striking distance of having a crack and getting another across the line for another try.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Look, there's going to be accidents. That's the thing. It's a full contact sport. There's guys running at maximum speed, so there is unfortunately going to be accidents. It's the careless ones that the game is trying to get rid of, which is fair enough. It's good that the game is trying to take in the players' welfare, and that's great. But it is a tough sport. We want to remain, a tough gladiatorial sport. That's what the fans love about it, and the players love about it too.
Yeah, no, I tell you what, I've never seen so much blood. The slow mo and all that stuff, just the blood coming out. That was horrific. They kept replaying it. I was surprised. Like, you can't play that again, but they did.
I know.
What about the Storm back last Thursday, mate? Xavier Coates with 3 tries. They just keep doing it. That was a pretty good win against the Roosters, a team that we both rate highly.
Yeah, man. I was talking about Joey Manu going to fullback, and I thought he was going to be really dangerous anytime he moves from his centre position into 5'8" or fullback. So, man, it was a really convincing win by the Storm, and man, I thought they probably needed it at this stage too. They've been in and out of some good and average patches to start the year, but that was a convincing win against one of the top teams in the competition, the Roosters. With look at the roster of the Roosters team every week, and it's quite amazing. So. Great win by the Storm. I know there's a couple of changes there this week, which we'll get around to later.
Yeah, my man Poppenhausen's still to come back into that side too, which is pretty exciting. Hey, what about the Eels and the Tigers, mate? Poor old Tigers, they can't take a trick. And I want to ask you, Gids, okay, they got the bye this week, okay, so that's as good as a win for the West Tigers. Faithful. Round 8, they play Manly. Round 9, the Panthers. Round 10, the Dragons. Round 11 is South Sydney. Rabbitohs, and round 12 is the Cowboys. When do you reckon the Tigers might get on the board?
Well, mate, who knows? That's the thing. I watched that game on Monday. I enjoyed actually watching the game on Monday afternoon, the last public holiday there, and sitting back and having a couple of quiet ones, mate, and watching that one. But mate, I thought they played well. That was the thing. I thought they played well. I thought they fought hard. I thought some of their shape was really good, where they stripped the Eels and scored. I thought their tenacity to fight back after the first half. So, it's heartbreaking for them that they got so close to push it into extra time and push for that win. But it's still pretty heartbreaking when you haven't chalked up a win at this stage. So, I think they should take some real positives out of that game. But unfortunately, they'll be after a bye. They'll be back to square one trying to scrap for a win against Manly, who have played some great footy as well. But again, mate, every week there's at least two upsets every week from a favourite getting beat. And is it going to be the round 8 clash against Manly, or is it going to be, round 12 against the Cowboys? They've got some tough games coming up. Manly, Panthers, Souths. Cowboys aren't travelling real well, and the Dragons aren't, but they're still in for a tough run.
That's going to be very interesting, mate. What about the big market movers? All thanks to Palmerbet, kids. Panthers $3.30 into $3. No real movement there. Storm went out to $9, now back into $7.50. So people starting to jump back on that wagon. But the big one, the Dolphins 67 into 36, mate. That's nearly half their price. And mate, who would have picked this, honestly? And as I said before, they're playing with a real belief.
Mate, for sure. I mean, they deserve to go from 67 into 36 at this stage. They've been one of the most consistent teams in the competition, so they deserve that type of firming into $36. Still pretty brave to back them to win the comp, but they definitely deserve to be where they are at the moment through, as we said, belief, mate, the way they've been playing, their completions, and the way they defend. So good on them.
Mate, let's have a look at this weekend's round of action. It's round 7 in the NRL. And the Dolphins take on the Rabbitohs Thursday night footy, 7:50 at Suncorp Stadium. Head-to-head, the Dolphins, $3.56. Rabbitohs are at $1.30. Dolphins at the line, plus 10.5, $1.90. Rabbitohs minus 10.5 at $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet. Jared Wallace for the Dolphin looks set to miss the clash through concussion, but they do get possibly Jesse Bromwich back, which would be huge. Well, for the Rabbitohs, Alex Johnson is back after completing the 11-day concussion stand-down rule. Dolphins coach Wayne Bennett has won his last 7 games coaching against the Rabbitohs. That's unbelievable. Rabbitohs 5'8" Cody Walker has scored 4 tries in his past 3 games. He's on fire at the moment. And winger Jermaine Asako has scored over half of the Dolphins' points. He's got 72 out of 140. So how do they stop that man, Gids?
Yeah, mate, I loved his goal kicking when he was at the Broncos, I think it was. So, yeah, mate, he can score some points. So that's a big plus for the Dolphins. The hammer at fullback, he's always exciting. He's got plenty of speed to burn. So great signing from the Cowboys. But, yeah, I can't go past the Bunnies here. I know that the Dolphins deserve to be where they are. They've played some great footy, but I still think, mate, the Bunnies with the team they've got Jai Arrow back too this week, it looks like. So I'm on the Bunnies for this one. I can't see head-to-head $1.30, but I can see some value in Rabbits 13 plus, I think.
We keep saying it every week, though, against the Dolphins, don't we? Like, we thought the Cowboys had just beat them last week. Right? It's unreal.
Well, I think we were talking there before round 1, and how many games would they win? Would it be 3? Would it be 5? Would it be 8? And they're probably past where I thought they would before the season kicked off. So they may keep surprising us. Who knows? They're certainly playing with plenty of belief, as we've said at the moment, but I still can't go past the Bunnies, mate, for this one.
Righto, mate. Head-to-head double-header on Friday night footy. Sharks v Roosters, first one at Shark Park. All thanks to Palmerbet, the Sharks $2.17. Roosters $1.70 at the line. Sharks plus 2.5, $1.90. Roosters minus 2.5 at $1.90. Key stats here for the Sharks. They do lose Dale Finucane through suspensions and Toby Rudolph with a foot, but they do get Wade Graham back. Which is going to be a massive return, a massive boost for them. For the Roosters, Tedesco is back, and Joey Manu shifting back to the centres is going to certainly help them. Sharks have not defeated the Roosters at Shark Park since 2016. So that's interesting on their home deck. Roosters have won their past 7 games against the Sharks. So that's a bit of a moz there. And Roosters fullback James Tedesco has scored a try in his last 3 games at Shark Park. You sticking with the Roosters here, Gids?
Oh, mate, I found this a tough one. I mean, I've circled both teams here and I've crossed one of them out. That's how hard I found it to pick it even head to head. I did, man, I thought the Sharks had a cracking first half against the Warriors there before their draw, and then, went down against the Warriors with the goal kick from Sean Johnson right towards the end of the game. So I thought they played some decent footy. I reckon Craig Fitzgibbon would have been pretty filthy on their second half defensive effort. Wade Graham, big return for them. I think Dale Finucane's a big loss. Yeah, big loss. Mate, he's a real leader in that team, and his work ethic and professionalism. And I've never played with him, but just his communication and the way he influences the people around him and holds them accountable. I think he's a big loss. So I did cross out the Sharks when I first circled them for this one, and I've swayed towards the Roosters. Probably. No. Probably swayed me with Tedesco being back. Joey Manu shifting back to centres. Tedesco skipper and back this week, and I think he'll be in for a big one. I do want to give a little tip, mate. I jumped on the amazing Palmerbet app before this, and I still like to explore, mate, the app and what's available. And I must say a big happy birthday, mate, to the great Jeff Gidley, mate. Tonight I was out at my dad's place for dinner for his birthday, and he tipped me into under the margin markets the try bet. The try bet. So you get a few different options around the different in the margins. So
he's
I'm
all
gonna
over
have
it,
a crack, mate. He's all over it, mate. He's got me covered in how to navigate through the app. So, mate, Roosters minus 10.5.
Right,
in the try bet. It's under the market. It's under the margin markets.
That is awesome, mate.
So just have a little
boy teaching the young
have a look at that one.
Teaching the young bull how to pump, mate, on the Palmerbet app. This is gold, mate. We might get the old boy on as a guest tipster one week. I reckon.
Mate, he had a couple of winners last week too. He backed a couple of Chris Leesers last weekend. Leesy had a couple of winners, and Amazing Jack, I think it was too. So man, he's had a cracking weekend.
Love it, mate. Absolutely love it. Hey, Manly Seagulls take on the Melbourne Storm Friday night, 8 p.m, 4 Pine Park. Seagulls at $2.45, Storm $1.56. Had to line the Seagulls plus $4.5, $1.90. Storm minus $4.5 at $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet Kids. For the Seagulls, they lose Ruben Garrick with a head knock, hooker Carl Lawton with a shoulder, and Tommy Trebojevic, of course, Turbo, with back spasms. He's going to be monitored during the week. He's the key to this contest. He's the key to the Eagles, Sea Eagles for mine. Storm, they'll look to keep the same 17 as last week, so unchanged lineup. So still now no Poppenhausen for the Melbourne Storm. Sea Eagles have scored over 30 points in both games at 4 Pine Park this season. So they score very well there. I'm getting tongue-tied here, mate. The Storm have won 6 of their past 7 games against the Sea Eagles, so that's a fair stat. And the Sea Eagles have conceded 30 points or more in 3 of their past 4 games, Gids. What are you thinking, mate? Are you going to go with the Storm? Because the Storm can be a little bit Jekyll and Hyde, can't they?
Yeah, mate, for sure. I think, mate, your first point there around Turbo, he's been named at fullback. He's been named to the number one, but I think he's billions a player, mate, because of his previous hemi problems. And anyone who's had hemi problems, whether it's there's plenty of research that comes from your back or your hips or tight hip flexors. So I think there's no chance of playing with back spasms. It's way too much risk for Manly and for Turbo to be taking that one on. I think it may prove me different, but it would surprise me if he runs out there this weekend. The other change, mate, Cameron Munster has been named at fullback for the Storm with Nick Mooney being out. So I think that's always been pretty exciting when Munster goes to fullback. He's a real runner of the ball. Obviously, he's a great ball player as well. But when he's unpredictable and has the freedom to run anywhere and do what he wants, I think it's dangerous for the opposition. And Jonah Pizzette, who's jumping into 5'8" for Munster, has had a pretty reasonable start when he's filled in for Jerome Hughes. So, mate, I'm gonna jump on the Storm for this one. If Turbo's going to be out, Munster at fullback, I'm on the Storm for this one.
Yeah, I love Munster, mate. He's just a machine. He's a beast for mine. Love what he does, and they
Yes. Yep.
fullback's going to be exciting to watch. Hey, Warriors taking on the Cowboys. Warriors, they'd be disappointed going down to your Knights last week. Cowboys, of course, rolled by the Dolphins, mate. Saturday, 3 p.m. Mount Smart Stadium. Head to head, the Warriors $1.80. Cowboys at $2 at the line. The Warriors minus $1.50. Cowboys plus 1.5. $1.90. Key stats here, all thanks to Palmerbet. The Warriors, Tamir Martin is in doubt with a knee injury, but Tohu Harris is expected to be back on deck, so that's big for Warriors supporters. While for the Cowboys, Nanai is back from suspension, while Jordan McLean due to return as well. So that'll be a couple of really good inclusions there for the Cowboys, and they need them. The key stats here, kids, the Warriors have won 3 of their past 4 games in New Zealand, so they're playing well at home. Cowboys will play in New Zealand for the first time since 2019. So that would be before COVID. That's a long, long time ago. And Warriors, Marcelo Montoya has scored 5 tries in 5 games against the Cowboys. What do you reckon?
Well, man, I think the Cowboys have got some real doubt amongst their club at the moment, and I think that's a long way from where they were at the back end of last year, and even before round 1 had rolled around. You know, they look like
it is not flowing.
They built a lot of belief and enthusiasm and confidence, mate, within that club. But geez, I think they'll be a bit rattled at the moment. Sitting 15th, only had 2 wins under their belt at the moment, and going to New Zealand. The Warriors have had a pretty fair start of the year. They're sitting in 5th at the moment, and I do think the big game against the Sharks the prior week for the Warriors. They travelled all the way back to New Zealand. They dead set would have done their washing, repacked their bags, and been on a flight and a bus back to Newcastle. So I thought that was always a big ask for them to back up against the Knights there last week. So I think being back home, Mount Smart Stadium, they love playing there. I think they'll beat the Cowboys.
Yeah, I think they're probably a pretty safe bet at home, aren't they? Hey, Knights taking on the Panthers, mate. Saturday, 5:30 p.m. McDonald Jones Stadium. This will be a sellout because the Knights supporters, the faithful, they're up and about. Head to head, the Knights $4.50, Panthers at $1.20. They are flying, the Panthers. Knights at the line plus $14.5, $1.90. Panthers minus $14.5, $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet. The Knights, Jaden Brayley looks to be out after failing to finish a game against the Warriors, but Tyson Gamble is in line to return, so that's big. For the Panthers, they do lose Liam Martin calf, Luke Garner ribs. They're both on track to return from calf and rib injury, so they're only getting stronger. The Penrith Panthers. Knights have won only 1 of their past 12 games against the Panthers, so not a good record there. Panthers have piled on 97 points in their past 2 games, so just offensively enormous. And the Panthers have not been defeated in Newcastle since 2015, Gids. You might have even been still running around way back in 2015, mate.
Mate, that was it. That was my final year. My last ever game in the NRL. I got beat by I got beat by the Panthers at Panthers Park. So
there you go.
Wasn't my most memorable final game, but is what it is, mate. But well, look, mate, few things there. I think the Knights will take. Well, I know they're taking some belief out of last week's game. You know, mate, it was a great win for the team and the town against some adversity there last week.
Yeah.
Tyson Gamble back, and he's had a great relationship with Jackson Hastings in the halves. He was out with a head knock there last week. So I think, you know what, it's a great opportunity for the current team, the club. 5:30 Saturday night at McDonald Jones Stadium. Mate, we'll have a gazillion people there. We will.
You're going to tip them too, aren't you?
Mate, I'm tipping for one of the upsets of the round this week.
That is unbelievable.
Head-to-head, 450.
A side that is in red-hot form at the moment, just scoring machines, and you're going to stick fat. You are unbelievable, Gids.
No, you know what, mate? You know what, Matty? I don't mind the 14.5 start for the Knights. I know the Panthers have had the Panthers have had a couple of towel-ups. They've dealt a couple of towel-ups the last couple of weeks, but, mate, 14.5, Knights at home, Saturday night, I reckon there'll be 25,000 there this week.
Yeah, it's going to be big. It's good for the town, good for the league too, I reckon. Hey, let's move along to the Titans and the Broncos. Sunday, 7:35 p.m. at Seabus Super Stadium. Head-to-head Titans, 375. Broncos, $1.28. Titans plus $11.50, Broncos minus $11.50, $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to Palmer Bet. For the Titans, winger Jojo Fafita has a chance of returning, but Kieran Foran and AJ Brimson are still another week away. For the Broncos, Thomas Flegler is set to miss the game, while winger Corey Oates is still another week away. The key stats here: Titans have won 4 consecutive games at Seabus Super Stadium. Broncos have won their past 3 games against the Titans. And Broncos halfback Adam Reynolds has won 9 from 9 at Seabus Super Stadium. So he's the king of Seabus Super Stadium. Wow. Adam Reynolds, mate.
Well, mate, he loves his games up in Queensland, no matter what. He's in some great form at the moment, that's for sure. He's really guided that team and that club so successfully to start this year. So they'll be disappointed in that loss there last week. Only a try between them, really, the result in the end. But I think they'll bounce back this week. That's for sure.
You reckon they'll bounce?
Oh, mate, I can't go.
Can I ask you?
Can't go past the Broncos.
Well, this time last year, Broncos were in a similar kind of spot. Like, they started the season really well, and then they hit the wall. So would that just be creeping in the back of their mind? Would they just be thinking, "Hang on, are we going to kind of start slipping down that slippery slope again?"
Well, I think they'd be aware of what went wrong last year, and I think I even read a comment from one of their best ever players, Darren Lockyer, there last week, just to remind them not to get ahead of themselves at this stage. It's we're not too far into the year. There's certainly a lot of games to come, but they'll be aware of what happened last year, and if they're not, someone in the media will. And but it's about mate, the mental side of the game is just so important to remain focused, remain mindful of what your job is this week, and focus on today, tomorrow, and game day, and that's against the Titans for the Broncos this week. So, mate, I'm on the Broncos. Yep, I think Jaden Campbell's been playing some good footy for the Titans. Kieran Foran back, but I still don't think they've got enough to rival the Broncos, mate, for this week. Although, local derby, I suppose they can get up for that. There might be something there, and the underdog trying to get up to beat the big brother, but I still think Broncos might have them.
Hey, Sunday, 2 p.m, GIO Stadium. It's the Raiders taking on the Dragons. Raiders coming off that great victory last week. Head-to-head, Raiders $1.50. Dragons at $2.60. At the line, the Raiders minus $6.50, $1.90. Dragons plus $6.50, $1.90, all thanks to Palmer Bet. Key stats here for the Raiders. Star Jack Whiten back from suspension, while Joseph Tapine makes it 2 huge ins for Raiders supporters. While for the Dragons, Francis Molo will need to beat a careless side tackle to play in the game this week. Key stats: Raiders have won 5 of their past 7 games against the Dragons. Dragons have won only 2 of their past 16 games at GIO Stadium. And Dragons coach Anthony Griffin has won 6 of his past 7 games coaching against the Raiders.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'd read too much into that one. Great stat by the boys at Palmer Bet, Matty, who certainly do their research.
Unbelievable.
Mate, they know their stuff, but the 2 biggest influences, I think, in this game are Jack Whiten and Joe Tapine, or Joe Tarpany. They're both rep players. They're both experienced, and they both have a huge influence on how the Raiders play. So, big win for him last week with Jack Whiten being out against the Bronx. Maybe that's a message for Jack that he doesn't need to be the star player of every set or every play. He's such a real competitor. Sometimes he overcompetes and makes things maybe more complicated, or makes an error, which I was certainly guilty of myself. But I think Jack White and Joseph Tarpany are big inclusions. I thought Jamal Fogarty had a really good game last week, and mate, Jared Croker, great to see him back. He's pushing towards 300 games for the Raiders, and I just know that he wears his heart on his sleeve for that club, and maybe having him in the team last week was extra motivation for not just himself but his teammates. He brings some real passion.
I reckon absolutely it was. Hey, final game, Eels v Bulldogs, Sunday, 4:05, Combank Stadium. Eels head-to-head, $1.40, Bulldogs 2.60 at the line. The Eels -6.5, $1.90. Bulldogs +6.5, $1.90. Key stats, all thanks to Palmerbet. Eels international prop, Junior Paulo is back from suspension, and doesn't he make a difference? He's a big, big man. For the Bulldogs, Hughes out his dog star winger, Josh Adokar. He's out for 8 weeks with an ankle injury. But they will get Kikau back from concussion, so that's a big inclusion. Eels have won 5 of their past 6 games against the Bulldogs. Bulldogs have won only 2 of their past 14 games at Combank Stadium. And Eels fullback Clint Gutherson has scored 9 tries in 14 games against the Bulldogs. Are you with the Eels here, mate, at the $1.40 odds or price from Palmerbet?
Yeah, well, I am, but mate, I think the Bulldogs can really get up for this one. You know, that's a pretty strong rivalry, the Eels and the Bulldogs of Western Sydney, mate. So I think they'll be right up for it. I know Carr's a loss just through his energy, you know, and he brings some real joy to that team and that club, you know, around training, video sessions, outside of training. So I think not having him there will dampen their morale, you know, if anything, which would be disappointing for them as a club.
I reckon Junior Paulo's massive, mate. He's just, when he gets the ball in his hands, and he's just such a big man, he's hard to stop. He gains yardage, doesn't he?
Oh, mate, he's got size. He's now plays big minutes because he's fit, and he's got hands like a halfback. And so he's just a wrecking ball, you know. And now he knows what the damage and the finesse that he can help his team around the park with. Like they're all dangerous combinations when those guys are aware of how potent they are. So he's a big inclusion. Look, I think I've seen a stat this afternoon around the Eels, all the Eels games this year, and they've lost by, you know, something like 4, 6, and they're only win or 2 is again within 6 or 8 points. So they haven't had any convincing wins where they've blown teams out of the water. But they haven't been off too many, they haven't been far off in their losses as well. So I'm on the Eels, mate, with this one. But I do think the Dogs have an opportunity to get right up for the game, being a bit of a local rivalry out at Western Sydney.
Love it, mate. Hey, listen, the kids get on last week, mate. Didn't come through, of course. The Bunnies smashed the Dogs in the end, and you got 4 out of 8 in the pick 8, big fella. So we need you to lift. What are we thinking?
Yeah,
the kids get on. It's the old man on his birthday. Is he giving you a couple of little pointers, mate? Has he told you what you should part with this week?
Well, he did give me the little tip there about the market, the margin market, mate. The try bet, as he showed me. But as far as, mate, the kids' best picks of the week, I'm going to run through them. And look, there has been at least 2 major upsets every week. So bear with me on this one, mate, just with the odds that it may spit out, Matty. So I'm going to go, mate, Rabbits.
Seeing it in, mate, all right? Yes.
Okay. Rabbitohs. Roosters.
Yes.
Storm.
Yes.
Warriors.
Yep. 4 ticks. Yep.
Knights.
Oh, yeah. 450, mate. Yes.
Broncos.
Yes.
Raiders.
Yeah.
And Eels.
Do you know what, mate? That is unbelievable. So that's $90.17. So the Knights put the value in there, to be honest. Like you're timesing everything by 4, or 4.5, just by having them in there. But that is the rest of the picks, to be honest, like a pretty solid. I'm expecting you to get a 6 or a 7 this week, kids.
Well, mate, I must say I'm not totally pleased with, mate, my average picks results, my results every week. I need to do better.
It's been difficult.
Yeah, for anyone who's got an average of 6 or more out of 8 every week, then they're doing really well.
You'd be flying, mate. Now, what about the kids get on? What's the moral of the weekend?
Mate, the kids get on. Mate, all thanks to Palmerbet. I did jump on the Palmerbet just to calculate this one too. And I'm going to go with a tight game, I think, between the Roosters and the Sharks.
Yep.
You know, two quality teams. I know the Sharks haven't probably picked up where they were last year at this stage. But I think, two quality teams, two great coaches. I think the score, I'm going to go Roosters a win. And I'm going to go points under 40.5.
Yep.
And, mate, Roosters to score first.
Right. What
$3.78.
Hey, nice.
$3.78.
Right. So tight enough game, low scoring.
Yep.
Love it.
I think the Roosters have got the team to get off to a good start there. And, I think both teams, quality clubs and defenders, and I think it'll be under 40.5 that game. Maybe a bit of rain around. I think there's a bit of rain coming as well this week.
That is absolutely magic, mate. The kids get on, all thanks to Palmer Bet. Download the app, get involved, do it in a responsible manner, though. That is the key. It is a really, really simple app, kids. Hey, listen, mate, you have a wonderful weekend. You get down to McDonald Jones Stadium and just absolutely roar and charge home, because if the Knights can upset the Panthers on the weekend, mate, look out.
I'll be out there firing up, mate, the crowd as they come through the gates, Matty. You wait to see the packed McDonald Jones Stadium just jumping out of their seats, mate. This one.
It's going to be enormous, mate. Hey, listen, have a wonderful weekend. Big round 7 in the NRL. All thanks to Palmer Bet, of course. And as we say, you go and enjoy the weekend, kids. Have a wonderful time, buddy.
Yep, all the best, everyone. Good luck.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.